All right, so our next guest is from one of our sponsors, Flood Creative. She is the head of Flood Creative and an awesome resource on the branding and packaging front, or branding and design front. So we're going to invite up Paula Grant. Paula, come on up.
I can't wait to get her in the hot seat. I have so many good questions, I think.
There's so many people here that I could see your mouth moving, but I wasn't quite sure what you were saying.
It was all good stuff, don't worry.
Okay.
There you go. Well,
congratulations. This is great.
Thank you.
There's
Thank
a
you.
lot
Yeah,
going
you've been to many of these, and I guess seen the good and the bad. Maybe, I don't know.
It's always getting better.
There you go. I like to hear that.
Better.
I like to hear that. So I guess we're gonna talk to you about branding and design. Go figure, right?
Yeah. Well, it makes a difference, right?
It makes a difference. So one of the things that you brought up recently that I think is a really interesting topic to focus in on in the beginning here is personality.
Yes.
In one's brand and design. And, well, I'm just going to let you kind of address it rather than put words in your mouth, so.
Yeah, I mean, we put out a little newsletter, and one of the things we've been finding, we work a lot with startups. We also work with some very big CPG companies, but when you're working with somebody smaller and you're kind of creating a brand from scratch, we look to have a little personality. One, we think that consumers look at those brands and they trust them more. And two, when you're building something from scratch and you have to, realize that you're going to have social and marketing, you need things to grab onto. We say something at Flood all the time, which is people don't want to just buy things, they want to buy into things. So as we're creating that story for a brand, a lot of times personality comes into that. And, we like to have fun with what we do also. So there's got to be something there.
You're mentioning brand a lot. And what's more important, having a good product, just putting all of your energy into creating the best possible product, or should you start thinking about the brand first and maybe create a product that fits into the brand that you want to build? What's more important?
I actually think, obviously the product itself has to taste good. We heard that earlier. There has to be a good reason for the product, but in my experience, when people create brands, design and the product themselves together at the same time, that's the winning combination. Obviously there are reasons. There's a lot of breakthroughs in technologies with a lot of these smaller companies, but certainly if something tastes very interesting or has a different effect to it, you want to capture that in packaging. So the two kind of have to work together.
So we see a lot of entrepreneurs start with the product. I think that's a great place to start. And what's the difference in the kind of the mindset? What do you kind of bring to the table when you start to think about turning that into a brand?
What do we have to think about as they're formulating?
Right.
Well, we have to, it's a very crowded market, so we'll look on shelf to say, how are you going to stand apart? It's not only the personality of the brand, but a lot of times people respond visually right away to something. So if every other package is in dull packaging, you might want to do something bright. If something's in a freezer case, you have to look at that differently.
Want to step out in that
the
category.
Actual structure and the standout and how that product is going to shout, hey, look at me in this very crowded environment is really important. And then the other thing is, sales guys do a great job of talking. Well, when no one's talking, what is that package saying for itself? And a lot of times people don't even want to read. They just want to look at it and understand and feel an emotional connection enough to buy. So all of that becomes very important.
I guess that sort of brings another question of mine, which is a question I feel like I get a lot, which is what's the right time to start thinking about your brand? It seems like, and you'll see it at our events certainly and trade shows where companies have, in startup mode, put a lot of their effort and energy into the product creation, and then they're like, well, we'll figure out the package or the brand later.
Right. Well,
when you're bootstrapped, kind of how do you you deal with a lot of entrepreneurs?
You can do it in a few different ways, and one of the things I'd like to say about that is design is even important before you even start. A lot of times if you're raising money, which you have to do, this presentation of your vision beyond the actual product itself, but what it looks like, how it appeared on shelf, what your book looks like to go out and actually raise money becomes so important. And we've done it with in the hair care industry. We have a product called Briogeo that we worked with. As soon as she realized she wanted to start her own hair care product, she came to us, She invested in the brand. We helped her with her presentation materials. And what she found was, in her investment meetings, they said, wow, you're really buttoned up.
Yep.
You could see that you put a lot of thought into this, and it helped her raise money. So I think, and if you're bootstrapped, you can have a conversation with people like myself to either say, hey, can I have a payment scheme? Or I can't pay for this right now. I plan to raise money. Can I pay for it later? Or, there are certain checkpoints. You don't have to pay for everything at once, maybe. But if you're willing to negotiate, sometimes you can get a lot done.
So is that almost like you're doing like a proof of concept brand?
Yes.
And is that like a typical thing in the food and beverage space?
Yeah, I mean, it's a typical thing in CPG also. I mean, they do a ton of work and research, and then sometimes it doesn't even fly.
Doesn't go anywhere,
right? So you have to have that mindset of, we're getting it to this point, we're going to raise some money, and then, a lot of times when it hits the shelf, they have to redo it again anyway because they're
So I have to know what it's going to taste like, I have to know what it's going to look like, and then how does it speak?
Yes, how does it speak? What personality does it have, right? Exactly.
Wow. So you have a new brand that you guys just developed, a fruit snack brand.
Yes.
Want to tell us a little bit about that?
I would. It's called Nature's Bandit. It's really fun. And here's a brand. You can go online to naturesbandit.com.
Yeah, we don't have it.
I don't have
here.
it sitting over there. We'll have to go. We'll showcase it later.
Cool raccoons.
But we created a whole personality around the brand, so much so that it turned into playing cards, so kids could collect cards, put it in their backpack. It's a healthy snack. They're creating new SKUs now. It's actually getting out everywhere. So we have in-house designers that illustrated everything and painted. It's really fun.
So that one thing I want to ask about that, you've developed kind of a little character or a series of characters, right?
Yes.
That's something that we see a lot of brands try to do is, and it gets into this sometimes like, do we license something? Do we make our own? But if you're going to develop your own character, like, how do you approach something like that? Because I feel like we see a lot of people mess it up.
And how do you know it's good?
Yeah, and what you've created, like, I look at it and I'm like, all right, this is good.
Well, you have to have some good illustrators, and you have to have a vision. For that particular project, we created quite a few different characters, and it's a family business, so they all got together and had a lot of banter about the characters. And when we did the cards, the characters became members of their family and are named that way. So we had a lot of fun working with them as entrepreneurs, just to bring these characters to life. They mean something to them, and now they're going to mean something to the kids that collect them too.
So there's some characters on the cutting room floor somewhere.
There are lots of characters, yes.
Interesting.
We work also, we did this with a brand of ours called Me for Kids in the kind of healthcare space, where Johnson & Johnson and brands like that would license Dora. They didn't have the money to do that, so we created a whole line of characters for them that appear on Band-Aids, and they got end cap placement at Target, ice packs, everything. So they really took those characters and leveraged them for all kinds of things. So if you can find a firm to do that, it saves a lot of money, and it's a good idea.
So I guess we've got about 2 minutes left here. I guess maybe I'm just going to throw it to you of, are there any other kind of, design takeaways or trends that real quick might be useful to startup companies? And then, of course, they should contact you after we're done, right?
Of course. I mean, I think one of the main things we're finding is naming and stand out, and really just getting the proposition to come out very clearly. I mean, whenever we look at these products and it's kind of like, I don't know what I'm buying, I don't know what I'm reading. It should. I think simplicity.
Keep it simple, stupid.
Keep it simple, and naming has a good name can go a long way. So
I like that advice.
Okay.
Awesome.
Excellent. Well, I'm looking forward to
much.
seeing some great products.
Yeah.
And thank you very much.
Yeah, thanks for joining us,
Bye.
Paula.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Talk to you soon. Bye.